Welcome to Art Laboratory Berlin. Welcome to the conference, the CAMILLE Diaries. We're very happy to have you all here throughout the whole globe. Welcome to the artists, welcome to the speakers. Welcome Astrida Naiman is our first panel speaker. We are very happy to welcome you to an online conference at Art Laboratory Berlin. The digital version due to COVID-19 crisis of desired physical mobilities. However, we have come to embrace great advantages in realizing the CAMILLE Diaries Symposium online too. Enlarged virtual audience, speakers from various continents.
Taking time zone challenges into consideration, we are here with about 20 speakers, of which we have, first of all the exhibiting artists of the CAMILLE Diaries exhibition, and with them, bright critical minds from gender and cultural studies, anthropology, philosophy, and biology. For the audience outside, we've prepared a chat option on YouTube to comment or leave questions that our colleague Natasha will share with us. We want to wish you all a great conference with challenging ideas, fruitful conversations, and a good connection.
We are very grateful to have received funding for the exhibition, the program, the conference from the Berlin Senate, and the program is called Hauptstadt Kulturfonds. We are very grateful, and also we were supported by the Slovene Embassy. Thank you also very much to our media partners, Art in Berlin and Aviva Berlin, and to our colleagues OKK and PA58. And of course, we wanted to thank the whole current Art Lab team for the great dedicated, breathtaking support in organization, logistics, realization, installing, press, and PR. And we have to name our colleagues here: Tuje, Natasha, Ayla, Paluca, Sarah. Also, thank you, Eva Maria Bolz, for the graphic design, and Tim Deussen for the photographs, and that we are sitting here in the photo studio for that conference. And then also special thanks to Ida Benke for inviting us in 2018 to the International Curatorial Swarm. And here comes now the concept of the project, CAMILLE Diaries.
In spring 2018, Ida Benke from the Lab for Art and Ecology in Copenhagen invited Regine and me into a curatorial swarm for the open call M/Others and Future Humans. There was an initial idea to knit together a series of exhibitions, though each curator was free to choose their own selection from the open call, with the idea of potentially making an exhibition. As is Art Laboratory Berlin's practice, we came from the artwork out following an inductive approach. The artistic positions we chose were a mix of artists and works we knew well, artists who have been in our radar for some time, and new discoveries. We made the choices that really moved us and which fulfilled the criteria connected with our areas of concentration: hybrid arts, art science, and bioart. Several choices were excluded as being logistically unfeasible, and the current 9 positions were certain to us by late summer 2018. Something else became clear to us shortly after making our choice. All the positions made a point obvious to us vis-a-vis science and technology studies and Donna Haraway that we have already been thinking about in the CAMILLE Stories, which is the last chapter of Donna Haraway's book, Staying with the Trouble. 5 generations of Camilles take upon themselves the mission of caring for an endangered species, the monarch butterfly. This care has cultural and sociological aspects, as well as environmental, biological, and biotechnological. The 5 generations of Camilles are also genetic hybrids. Each contains genes from the monarch butterfly. Haraway's Camilles are part of a larger societies of composting, where others may carry the genes of endangered salamanders, crayfish, and so on, for whom they take on a special responsibility. We found in the practice of the 11 artists whose work we chose to exhibit a similar ethos and aesthetics of care. So what differs between the CAMILLE Stories and the CAMILLE Diaries is an important shift from speculative fabulation to wet practice. In the CAMILLE Stories, Haraway proposes the chapter as a speculative fabulation of a possible and hopeful near to middle future. For us, it's interesting that this occurs at the end of the book. Certainly for a scholar working with text and theory, if connected to practice, using speculative fabulation to propose a future of caring and kingmaking still makes sense in many ways. But from the practical side of actually making, art making, in the case of hybrid artists and especially bioartists, a term which not all the artists here would claim, with the necessity of producing viable artworks, speculative fabulation comes not at the end, but at the beginning of the process, as a spur towards producing an actual result, or process at least, leading to a successful making. Maybe, yes, certainly, there's a generational shift here, but also very much a disciplinary rift. Artists may inhabit academia as well as laboratories, and they very well understand and even create theory, but in the end, they practice. The necessity of actually achieving a viable result, as well as the imperative of relationships with scientists, for whom the achievable is a mere basis, leads a bioartist to create the realizable. What our choices in the open call confirmed for us was that the realizable or achievable was at least as amazing a form of worlding as the speculative fabulation of Haraway's Camille stories. We can discuss more about this at the end of the symposium, but now I'd like to introduce you shortly to the works on exhibit in the Camille Diaries, New Artistic Positions on M/Otherhood, Life and Care.
Well, let us give you a short overview of the 9 positions. And for this, I'd like to share a screen with you. So just to give us a fresh start, and even if we cannot haptically share the works, I'd like to just kind of to warm us up today. We would like to start to go through the positions which are in the exhibitions, but it also at stake in the discussion today. Artist and designer Aya Hasegawa, and we are lucky to have all artists at the conference today. Artist and designer Aya Hasegawa bases her research on the relationship between technology and living beings, expressing herself in the fields of bioart, speculative design, and design fiction. In her work, I Want to Deliver a Dolphin, she proposes a trans-species act of motherhood. This project approaches the problem of human reproduction in an age of overcrowding, overdevelopment, and environmental crisis, with a speculative idea of women incubating and giving birth to endangered species. Bacteria, animals, and plants are Margarita Bevere's creative kin in the exploration of ecological complexity, which she pursues with sophisticated bodily aesthetics. Her series Wombs, and we see here 2 parts, features scientific glassware hosting living bacterials, colonies producing flesh-like biofilm, growing in a liquid environment infused with the artist's own hormones. Wombs meditates on sexuality and hormonal contraception from an environmental, more than human perspective. Bevere elaborates on the interspecies kinship through a, I would say, performative permeability, referring to the leaking materiality of our bodies. The work of artist Cecilia Jonsson combines artistic observations of phenomena and the search of poetry in the factual through a lens of scientific and cultural knowledge. In Hem, artist Cecilia Jonsson, together with scientist Rodrigo Leite de Oliveira, have created a compass deriving iron from the blood protein hemoglobin of 69 donated human placentas. Iron, plentiful throughout the process of exchange, plays an essential role, guiding oxygen from the mother to the fetus. Iron, through its nature and abundance, has emerged as essential to life. And we probably will discuss all these aspects today. Artist Nicole Clausten's key question is, what happens when we acknowledge through an embodied experience our connection to a world teeming with life both and around inside us? Her artwork Mud Berlin, that you see here, it was produced in the summer here, takes the form of 15 rectangular acrylic prisms filled with organisms growing from mud taken from Berlin and Brandenburg's lakes and rivers. The prisms refer to so-called Winogradsky columns, to cultivate microorganisms. Given nutrients, the microbial colonies, and you see this here in detail, grow in rich colors and shades, changing during the duration of the exhibition. Literally, life emerges from the slime through care. Tararo, the artistic practice, explores the physical principle of wetness as a metaphor for empathy and social permeability. In her project Hourglass, Rhoda highlights the kinship between plants and animals through two organic chemicals, hemoglobin and chlorophyll, vital to both the life of individual organisms and the planetary carbon cycle. Through the installation is a tribute to the remarkable alliance between plants and animals through the photosynthesis and respiration. Here, a mixture of plant leaves and ethanol creates an extraction of chlorophyll, which drips through the sand clock. In the bottom half, the green chlorophyll solution appears red when exposed to UV light, resembling its animal equivalent hemoglobin. Sonia Levy's research lab practice considers shifting modes of engagement with more than human worlds in light of prevailing earthly precarity. Her two-channel video installation, For the Love of Corals, is a cinematic inquiry that focuses on the daily labor of caring for endangered beings to resuscitate them from the imminent human-induced extinction. In the basement of the Horniman Museum in London, a team of marine biologists and aquarists have embarked on breeding corals in captivity. Levy has followed Project Coral since late 2017 as a case study of new paradigms for multi-species living, environmental conservation, and natural history that are emerging in the wake of the Anthropocene. Spela Petric approaches art production with a background in hybrid arts as well as a PhD in biochemistry. These dual epistemological approaches inform her work with the plant kingdom as a part of multi-species collaboration, exploring the ontologies, methodologies, ethics, and practices of care involved in our relationships to the vegetal. In her installation, Phytoteratology, tailcress embryos have been grown in a bath of chemicals from the artist's own body, urine. The resulting plants are in part biochemical chimeras with petrages as a sort of hormonal, not genetic, hormonal co-mother. Mary Magic's work, Milik Bersama Rekombinan, explores the surreal landscape of an urban Indonesian river colonized by plastic with toxic implications by nearby inhabitants. While water is the medium that connects us all, it is also the primary carrier of harmful industrial molecules that queer both the river and the bodies of its inhabitants. The site of Magic's project, the river Chode in Yogyakarta, Indonesia, colonized by plastic, with its citizens believing their water is clean enough for daily use. While the root of the problem is complex and multifaceted, there is an urgency to rethink toxic conditions with empathy, care, and collective survival. Naya Ankerveld researches how life abounds with similar forms found in different species or on different scales. Baumlihi is an earth-based symbiotic practice exploring how sustainable futures can be grown between environmental ethics and multi-species aesthetics. For their project, Mamalga, Ankerveld and Baumann-Leahy find inspiration in the life-remediating abilities of the algae as well as ways of M/othering or making kin in algal family patterns. Bangiomorpha, a red algae, is the first known sexually reproducing organism, the origin of eukaryotic cells, and thus evolutionary mother, or M/other, of all earthly mammals. I came back from my screen share, and after this conceptual overview, a quick overview to warm us all up, also saying we actually had another series in our program. It's a talk show series by our colleague Isabella de Sena, It's a feminist SF, Visions of Motherhood and Reproduction. She organized and curated it, and it's ongoing. And there's a live talk show format with artists, scientists, and scholars for an ideal TV program of the topic of feminist science fiction. So after this survey, dear audience and dear speakers and panelists, we wanted to say that the one-day symposium, the CAMILLE Diaries, will bring the artists exhibited together with the researchers from the humanities and natural sciences into a critical dialogue. As an art and research platform, Art Laboratory Berlin is eager to discuss in depth the exhibited works and their artistic research. We had followed this interdisciplinary approach already in our previous conferences, Synesthesia in 2013, Non-Human Agents in 2017. You can watch it all online. Therefore, it has been a big pleasure in coupling the artists for this conference with scholars from gender culture studies, anthropology, biology, philosophy in different panels for the next 10 hours.